Getting Started with Accessibility, presented by Gregory Hammond, who is a website consultant at Gregory J Development. There will be no Q&A during this lightning round, but please use the ideas section to chat with other attendees. And Gregory is here in the chat and in Slack and can answer your questions there. So take it away, Greg.
Why is it beginner talk in WordPress Accessibility Day? It's because it's great to have a refresher for those who may consider themselves to be experts. And if you're a beginner, then it's great to know what the very, very, very begin step should be. And if you're somewhere in between, don't worry, you will learn something from this talk. All the slides I'm showing are available for viewing and downloading at your own convenience. The link for that is bit.ly/WPAD 2022. If you're posting on Twitter about this talk or this conference, you're welcome to tag me. I'm at Dev Gregory. That is DEVGREGORY. Let's get started with why accessibility is so important. I'm sure it's been covered in this conference already a ton. However, it is great to remember that 1 in every 4 people identify as having a disability. That disability could be something that's visible or something that's completely invisible. You may know someone who has a disability, and they proudly say, yes, I have a disability. Or you may think, oh, I don't have somebody who has a disability, but they themselves think they do. Accessibility is so important because it shows that you care about everyone and you want them to be able to access what you have to offer. If you don't include accessibility, you could not include 25% of your potential audience. That may not seem like a lot, but it's 25% could make a big difference. Since this is a WordPress conference, you want to make sure you choose a theme that is accessibility ready. If you use themes from WordPress.org, it makes it so much easier to find these accessibility themes. If you go to WordPress.org/themes, you can choose a feature filter where you can go under the features and select accessibility ready. When you search for those filters, you will see about at this time 100 different themes. That may not seem like very many compared to how many themes are available, but there's 100 different themes you can choose from. You may be thinking, what makes a theme quote unquote accessibility ready? According to the WordPress Theme Review Handbook, it must include at least the following. 1, make sure someone only using a keyboard can use the website. Number 2, make sure anyone who uses a screen reader can identify what is a button, what is a link, and what is something for them to fill in. Number 3, making sure it includes a skip link so that the screen readers can skip the menu of the website. Now that you have a theme, you want to start thinking about headings and paragraphs. H1, or known as head 1, should be used once per page. It is used to identify what the page is about. This allows the site to be organized and makes it easier for everyone to understand what is important and what is also important on the website. Something we should all consider is what language is on the website. I'm not talking about English or French here, but the wording is something that you want those who read the website to understand. You can think about it as how technical or non-technical do you want the site to be. For example, since this is a talk meant for beginners, I'm trying to use simple and plain language so everyone can understand what I'm saying. If you have a site that is meant for beginners or meant for everyone, consider using plain language. What is often on every website is images. This can be great to break up all of that text on the website. However, you want to make sure that those images are accessible. That means adding something called alt text to the images. Alt text is used to describe the image to someone who can't see it. It can be hard to write alt text at first. One suggestion I have is close your eyes and try to remember what is important in that image. Then write the alt text around that. You get better writing it over time. Every single website also has color. Color could just be black and white, or you can add many, many colors to it. However, you want everything on your site to be able to be read by anyone. To ensure this, you want to have enough contrast between the different wording on the website. The very minimum you want is 3:1 for large text and 4.5:1 for paragraph text. As always with accessibility, the higher the number, the better. Now, you may be thinking, what is this color contrast I'm talking about? The simplest definition I have found is, quote, a measurement of the difference in perceived brightness between two colors, end quote. Now, how do you check if what the color contrast is between your background and the text you actually have on the website? My favorite website is WebAIM's Contrast Checker, but there are also many other tools and websites which offer this. So find one that suits you best. There are also a million different fonts to choose from. However, when you think about accessibility, you have to be careful with which font you choose. I want you to think for a moment about which fonts you have seen on websites and are they accessible or not. Got some themes in you got some text in your head? You think about, okay, what's accessible, what's not? You're probably hoping that I could just list off a number of different fonts for you to choose or themes to choose or whatever. There isn't one or two or five that could be considered the best. While many sites offer different suggestions, I would encourage you to find some that fit you and your website or your business the best. You also, for fonts, you want to limit the number of different fonts you use. Try to limit that to 3 or less. With it now being easy to read and a theme that's accessible, you want to make sure there's enough spacing between the text on the site, between the letters and the paragraphs. That way, the reader can know if the word is cod or cool. You want to make sure that the font is also big enough for somebody to read. The general suggestion is to start at 16 pixels and work your way up. You also may be reading text at 100% zoom or the regular zoom. However, there are people who increase that font for many, many, many reasons. You want to ensure that your font can still be read and your wording at 200% zoomed in. This is because you want to make sure that the text doesn't lose any content or functionality. Many websites love to include audio or video. And while they can look great, they can be an accessibility nightmare. Yeah, they seriously can. Make sure nothing plays unless the person viewing the website wants it to play. If you include audio or video, then make sure to include closed captions or audio describe what is happening. Have you ever been to many websites and thought, wow, all those links look very similar across multiple websites? Why is that? Because the general suggestion is to distinguish what is a link and what isn't. The most common way to do this is have the link be blue in color and have it be underlined. Now it stands out and the person on the website knows what is a link and what isn't. If your site has blue text color, don't use blue as the link. Use a different color. Another way to make sure your links are accessible is by describing what they do. Don't use the words learn more or click here. Use something like you can rent a tour or learn more about our favorite pasta. It helps to differentiate what the different links are. Accessibility is also making sure anyone in the world can visit the website in the first place. This means making your website load as quickly as possible. The best practice now seems to be 3 seconds or less. If you're unsure how quickly or how slowly your website loads, there are many websites which lets you test that. My personal favorite is webpagetest.org. Of course, the length of time also depends on where in the world the website is located and the visitor is located. Accessibility also means making sure the site looks good on a computer as well as a mobile device like a phone. Have you tested how your site looks on a phone? Maybe not, because you could be losing an additional 30% of your potential customers if it doesn't look good. That is more customers. I know I have talked a ton and I include so much information. What you have to remember is what may work for one person may not work for somebody else. This is not meant to be an end-all and a perfect guide to making your website 100% accessible. It's a guide to make your website more accessible. If you want to see how your website looks against some accessibility standards, then there are many website accessibility evaluation tools like WebIAM's one over at wave.webaim.org. To close, there can be a ton that can be done to make a website accessible. And I've only just covered the surface level stuff, like theme, heading, language, images, color, fonts, audio and video, and links, just to name a few. If you missed anything that I talked about, my slides are available for viewing and downloading at your own pleasure and convenience at bit.ly/WPAD 2022. I would also like to thank the organizing team of WordPress Accessibility Day for everything they have done that you may see or may not have seen. If you have any questions about what I talked about, the most convenient way for me is to contact me through any of the links, like my email address or social media, that are available on my website. My website is gregoryhammond.ca. Now, call to action. Get out there and make your website more accessible.